For the year 2020, I'm making a video review for every new movie I watch, whether in theaters or at home, and on May 17th, I watched Sucker Punch. Welcome to my year in movies. This is talking to myself. This is my baby doll look. Sans false eyelashes. It's not that I don't have any, it's that they frighten me. And I wasn't about to experiment. So Sucker Punch from director Zack Snyder follows the story of Baby Doll. Yes, her name is Baby Doll. And after the death of her mother and sister naturally leave her grieving, her stepfather decides to take a book from Joe Kennedy Sr.'s book on how to raise your daughter and have her lobotomized. Ah, the good old days when you could have a girl lobotomized for having depression or feelings. Once she's committed to the mental institution, she envisions it as a brothel, and she begins planning her escape in the intervening days between her arrival and her scheduled lobotomy. While there, she meets up with 4 other girls who are in this mental hospital, and they decide to plan their escape together. As she teams up with these girls and they grab the items that they need for their escape, she enters another level of fantasy in which she and the other girls are experienced strong warriors. I know better. And I know better. But Sucker Punch kind of slapped. It's all flash. Absolutely no substance whatsoever. But it never pretends it has substance. It looked really cool. For 2011, the CG is tight, it's well integrated, it looks super realistic. And like, there are movies coming out this year. Well, there are no movies coming out this year, but there are movies that have come out recently that don't look as good as Sucker Punch did. It's so cool. The style is so great. The opening montage was so good that I was confused people started talking because I thought this was gonna be a 2-hour Evanescence video. Like, it's just a video game. It's like you took every cutscene of a video game and stitched them together and uploaded it to YouTube. And that effect is so strong that anytime there was something that didn't feel clear in the narrative, my mind automatically went, well, I'm sure if I played the game, it would make more sense to me. I have no idea what the video game would have been, like a combination of Dance Dance Revolution and Persona, I guess. Although I feel like even if I played it, it wouldn't make that much sense. Part of the conceit of the movie is like these girls dance. And so like they all have to have some sort of routine that they show off in this club. And Baby Doll has to develop her own dance. But Baby Doll's dance is too sexy powerful that we can't show it. We have to convey its power and potency through fights with giant samurai golems and clockwork zombie Nazis and Terminators and dragons. It's a whole thing. And these are gnarly, brutal fights that we replace all the blood and gore with like steam and green mist. And this is a very deliberate choice because like Zack Snyder understands that there is a way high tolerance for extreme violence in American cinema, but there's not a high tolerance for sexuality. So he takes all of these scenes that we would have seen something sexy and he turns it into something that's like hyper violent and super stylized so the film could pass with a PG-13 rating. Because the extended cut has an R rating because the MPAA got to review that. Now, to discuss the extended cut, I'm gonna need to cut to grayscale because that's a spoiler. Skip back to color or this timestamp if you wanna just keep going. So, as mentioned, Baby Doll has a lobotomy scheduled. And the doctor character is portrayed as this character called the High Roller in the brothel sequences. You know, the whole movie they build up to her finally meeting the High Roller and finally getting to seduce him. But what's fascinating is he seduces her, but she chooses to sleep with him. And that's the key, is she chooses to. Like, she's the one to start undressing him. In this scene, like I mentioned undressing, but they're both completely clothed for the entire scene. It is like the most sexless sex scene I have ever seen in my life. But when the MPAA saw that scene, they gave the movie an R rating and they told Zack to trim the scene. By the time Snyder had cut the scene to where the MPAA would give it a PG-13 rating, it looked like the High Roller was taking advantage of Baby Doll, and Zack Snyder wanted nothing to do with it, so he just cut the scene from the movie completely. It was such a baffling decision on the part of the MPAA. They're like, all of this other stuff, yeah, that's PG-13, that's fine. But this one scene that's arguably very innocent, that they were like, no, that's an R rating, my dude. I also don't know what it says that like a sex scene is a metaphor for a lobotomy, but I don't think the movie does either. So Sucker Punch inadvertently raised the question of whether the movie was empowering or demeaning. Was it sexist or just sexy? And people can care about the answer all they want. This movie really isn't interested in the answer. For myself, I was too busy enjoying myself to care about the answer to whether it was empowering or demeaning. If it is empowering, is it convenient that their version of empowerment is skimpy outfits and sultry makeup? Oh yes. Is it convenient that Baby Doll's method of coping with the mental institution is picturing it as a brothel? Yes. So convenient. That being said, I can't think of many action movies where the main cast is entirely women. This was an original concept. These weren't the girl characters from a bunch of other movies finally getting their solo project. I will never say that this film did a lot for women, in or out of media, but it was a fun, sexy, stylized romp, and sometimes you need a movie that speaks to the part of you that wants to dress like a schoolgirl and fire a rocket launcher. Don't deny that you have it. Don't lie. We all have that part of us. Just embrace it. And I have to say, I was really happy not having to hear lines about how, like,
she fights good compared to the other men on the team.
I didn't have to sit through another scene where some, broy dude is laughing at her for being, small or pretty, and so to prove how tough she is, she puts the guy in a crucifix head scissor. Like, there were no guys on the team to call their abilities into question. And that's low-key kind of cool. Maybe the question is whether the characters from Sucker Punch are actually worse than some of the other female characters that have been written in the last 10 years. Like, these girls fly planes, they shoot guns, they operate mechs, they fight with katanas, and it's just assumed that they can. Meanwhile, Peggy Carter, Black Widow, Captain Marvel, they all maybe aren't as sexualized as the characters from Sucker Punch, but they all still had to prove to some guy that they knew what they were doing. On the other hand, it's not like the Sucker Punch girls were well-developed, three-dimensional characters. This isn't Girl Interrupted. They were kind of a bunch of sexy leg lamps. But on the other hand, this film passes the Bechdel test, and that kind of makes it a feminist masterpiece. Oh yeah. Like, I knew this was pro-woman when they put John Hamm and Oscar Isaac in it both. Like, what a power move. And having Oscar Isaac sing and dance a cabaret number with Carla Gugino, also a power move. Incredible. Scott Glenn is really good. It's way smarter to have his character crop up numerous times as kind of like the mentor character and keep the fantasy threads consistent throughout. Again, I watched the extended/director's cut. It's a little over 2 hours, which is arguably 20 minutes too long. I nearly said that it could be shorter if you just cut the slow-mo, but the slow-mo was actually really good. Like, it was well placed, it was exciting, it helped heighten the action for me. I had a lot of fun watching all of the battle sequences with the slow motion too. Zack Snyder kind of knows what he's doing with his director's cuts. Like, it's no wonder every time the Warner Brothers company tweets anything, it's just a bunch of nerds in the replies clamoring for the Snyder cut of Justice League. Which apparently it paid off, so congratulations guys. I hope you enjoy it. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. I can see why they named it Game of the Year. This has been My Year in Movies. Thank you for watching.